So, Brian, thanks for joining me today. And you have insight, a view into probably some of the most demanding people in the world, some of the wealthiest, maybe some of the most politically connected, some of the people maybe dealing with some of the hardest issues, or we could, quote unquote, hardest issues. Where do you see, this is a big question, so take your time, the greatest opportunity in their leadership today?
I think that it flows from what Jamie Dimon actually said, the CEO of JP Morgan, where EQ versus IQ is going to become more and more the need of younger people to thrive in the service business. And I think if I were to follow up or had that opportunity to follow up with Jamie, I would have said, so how are you fostering that within your staff? Because the flip side to that, ironically, is that we deal with JP Morgan Private Bank practically every day. And there's no question that there are many high quality people over there. However, it is a large financial institution that incentivizes their staff by, you know, bonuses on selling services and products, not necessarily EQ driven, and having empathy and being willing to be held accountable and problem solving. It's more, if you have a problem, I'm going to solve it with a product and one of our services. Thank you very much. And I think that a lot of people that we have as clients are finding that to be a bit more of a turnoff, and are shifting more towards the community banks that are looking to differentiate themselves by the fact that they can show that they care and that they have and are willing to go to the mat to get the best pricing they possibly can to compete with the larger financial institutions. And I think that that's going to carry favor with a lot of highly successful families and individuals in the marketplace.
Just gave me a great business idea. I'm just going to go launch an EQ training for the big financial institutions and community banks.
Well, I'm not so sure well, isn't that the question? How do you train people to have heart, and to actually care, to be willing to be held accountable? Those are skills and qualities that I'm not so sure you can train easily, certainly not easily. And in certain cases, you either have it or you don't. You either care or you don't. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how this world evolves, because now we're facing AI, where frankly, service providers are going to become less and less necessary in various roles and positions. And those who I think will be left over are going to be those that have higher EQs, that will have demonstrated the ability to be willing to be held accountable, which is something that I think is sorely missing in today's service economy. Unfortunately, which makes my job as a family office professional and provider of services infinitely more difficult, is working with a lot of third-party vendors who have staff that really don't seem to want to be held accountable. And again, it puts more burden on us because our clients don't understand why. We try to explain things to them. And the worst part is we don't know how to explain things that don't make sense to us either. It's a very strange concept, because I grew up in the school then where precision focus, laser execution was the demand by families who are the most demanding individuals and families on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanted everything to be right, be detailed, but at the same time, you also have to care deeply. You have to highlight that EQ. And I love how you mentioned how it's going to be a differentiator if it's not already, or maybe you can hide it with having some of the best products. But in this day of tech and AI, how do you show someone that you can personalize and connect with them? And how do you hire for that? And how do you train for that? My mind goes directly to this. Well, what's the mission, the value? How do you create that sense of purpose, create motivation and engagement? How do you maybe even create a process for caring? Like ask A5 whys, or this is the prompt you follow when someone is
Yeah.
struggling.
How do you do that? You make sure that people trust but verify. That's a good expression. Ronald Reagan, former president, said that. Make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Don't just trust that AI and the calculus of whatever AI did is correct, or your colleague. Often we are correcting other service professionals because we know their systems better than they do, because we've been working with their institutions longer than they have been there, which is alarming to us. Nevertheless, we're having to train some of the staff of other institutions when they should be able to do that themselves. And the excuse we get often from the senior management is, well, we're working on it. This is not the norm. Unfortunately, it is becoming more and more the norm. And I think it's unfortunate. While it does present an opportunity, train your people to be willing to stay late, to make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Check in with the client. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, how are you doing? Show that you care. Don't just ask questions about whatever your product is or your service offering. Check in other ways. I'm not saying in inappropriate ways and so forth. I'm saying, ways that demonstrate that you really, truly care and want to go the extra mile. Someone's opening up an account. Do you have any kids? Oh, as a matter of fact, I do. Great. Tell me about them. Are they in business? Are they in school? Where are they at? It accomplishes two things. Number one, it deepens your connectivity with the person who's your client to be. And the other, in my opinion, shows that, again, you're willing to go the extra mile to show that you really do care. Otherwise, you're just checking boxes and filling in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually create an incentive system, not just based on how many widgets you sell or what have you, but how your clients are satisfied and believe that you have done an extraordinary job at helping them and being available to them, showing up. It's funny, that's another life lesson. Showing up is not, 80%, 90% of the battle. And showing up in the sense of early morning, evening, off hours sometimes, just show up and then do your job. And then do your job. And then I think that, again, these are truisms that are tried and true for longer than you and I have been in business, Ben. They seem to be either forgotten or intentionally not being followed. Either way, it's room for improvement.
You've already shared a couple amazing quips, like the showing up. I mean, I'm thinking of unreasonable hospitality. How do you get what's the extra mile even mean? And so how do you train and hire in the age of AI? Or how do you build strong, positive relationships today? How do you exceed right in a role as a leader? Like what you've just shared, I'll hit some of those answers, but would love to expand on that.
Okay. How so? I'm happy to expand.
Yeah. So I guess what are some other codes of conduct, right, or expectations that you have for the people that you're working with or for that differentiates them in the marketplace today?
Well, You're talking about my clients and what differentiates them or differentiates
Well,
us?
your service delivery or people you work with? Yeah.
So I'll talk to both because there are some similarities. We are slow to hire, quick to fire. Slow to hire, quick to fire. That's number one. When it comes to misalignments, bad employees, um, I, at our firm, we don't have a training program, and we don't tolerate people who don't fit the culture of what we've been talking about. Similarly, our clients do the same thing. I think the other is having redundancy and quality controls in place so that if one of our team members is out sick or is taking a vacation, we have duplicative people that can fill in to allow our team not to become overly burdened with bandwidth concerns, and our client will have a seamless experience without any work falling through the cracks because we have quality controls and we have a system of checks and balances. Now, technology has something to do with that, but also the fact that we assign a certain number of people to every single client just in case, because again, people get sick, people move on. We're fortunate that we have a really good employee base of senior professionals with at least 15 years of hands-on experience working with successful individuals, family office level people. So we are a little bit different because of that. We're not hiring people that are fresh out of school that we have to hope that they have the professional etiquettes that we're talking about on this podcast. Some of my clients, though, are not as fortunate. They have people at all spectrums of their their employment journey. And so I think that in that case, they're looking for people, again, who go above and beyond to show that they are willing to take the extra steps to go above and beyond, or to show up and be held accountable, dependable. Unfortunately, far and few between in certain parts of our service-driven economy, and even in other aspects of our economy. Just because you order something doesn't mean it's going to arrive. And it may not arrive as you had thought. It happens a lot. So what are you going to do when that happens? What happens when you make a mistake? We have quality control systems to make sure that mistakes are minimal, if at all, but it does happen. You know what we do? We say, we made a mistake. We're willing to be held accountable. We're going to fix it and we're going to do right by you. Versus, oh, that wasn't our fault. We didn't do that. That's on you. Or this is the way you paid for it. We're not about shifting blame and putting it on the customer. That's not our modus operandi, and we would never do that. And I think that is why our clients have been with us for as long as they have and will continue to be.
Mm-hmm. Going back to this EQ piece,
Yeah.
I can hear the culture and what you're sharing, and you're slow to hire, fast to fire. I guess, have you figured out, other than conducting a Hogan EQ assessment, like how do you assess for the culture piece when you're bringing somebody on board?
We are slow to hire. So we take them through a process which is different than most companies probably would. They meet with more than one person over a period of time. There are some assessments that we give people to ensure that there's a strong likelihood that they fit culturally. And I think, again, sometimes you're rushed and you have to hire quickly. Well, you're taking a risk that if you do that, you may get lucky and you may have found a good person. On the other hand, maybe not. So I think having a process, Ben, is really the answer. A process that you believe will ferret out and identify the right kind of people that meet your culture and have the right amount of EQ in order to be helpful to your business.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many companies I work with are going in, start talking about hiring, start talking about culture. There's no values, there's no process to actually vet, to hire, to assess, for fit, post. So it is very much sit down, find an expert, build out that plan. I'm going to do a quick pivot to leadership presence. This is the thing that's on my mind. You work with leaders is an understatement. And I imagine then your level of presence matters greatly for you to have longevity with your clients or trust. How would you define personally, because you also have this really calm, confident poise that I've been impressed with, you know, what is leadership presence to you personally?
Hmm. Leadership presence to me is a combination of what I've said, showing up and being willing to show that you are passionate and that you are willing to lead. A lot of leaders are in the roles they're in because maybe they ascended the corporate ladder or whatever hierarchy they reached, or they're entrepreneurs and they founded some company, and but that doesn't make someone a leader. What that does is make them a visionary or an entrepreneur. Not all entrepreneurs are created equal, and not all are leaders. That means maybe that they're scrappy and that they have good vision, and that they're survivors and resilient. Now, some of those qualities, resiliency in particular, I say make for good qualities of leadership. And the people whom I've been fortunate enough to work with are very resilient people. They've had to be. On the other hand, they're also willing to demonstrate leadership in ways that count, and their actions speak just as loudly as their words. And they check their egos at the door. They are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the heavy lifting. And they're willing to be held accountable when they make mistakes. I mean, even in my own business, I have made mistakes and I own them. I own my mistakes. I say to my team, you know what? It came from a good place. I thought it was a good idea. I was mistaken, and we're pivoting and we're going in this direction now. Thank you for your understanding. And what did we learn from this? And you go through that so that people know that you are willing to be held accountable and that you're a team player. Team players are, I think, respected. Leaders who are willing to show their vulnerabilities are respected by their team more so than those that just hold the title and come into a room and expect and demand respect. I think that in my case anyway, I've always tried to show to my team that I'm part of the team. I'm servicing. I'm in the trenches every day, solving problems every day, because every day it's lemons into lemonade, meaning every day we're being thrown a lot of different curveballs that take shape of lemons. And you can either sit on them and watch them rot, or you can start making lemonade and drink it down. And that's what I say to my team. How many lemons did you drink, convert into lemonade today, Kristen or Marianne or what have you? And that to me defines leadership.
How often do you see these traits, I guess, displayed by even your clients? And is it something that you're vetting for or looking for in terms of what makes someone good to work with?
It's a great question. It's not a totally fair question, but it's a great question anyway. The reason it's not totally fair is because the people for whom I have worked are some of the most demanding people and successful people. They didn't get to that level of success by being nice always. And so I've had my fair share of clients whom I've had to say, thank you very much for the opportunity, but it's time for me to go now. And these are very well-known people, some of them. And I think that it takes a strong person in my position to say, you know what? This isn't a good fit. I could make a lot of more money at this. I could certainly line my pockets, but I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not is not because I couldn't use the money or the gravitas, but my team. Every time I've had to let go of a client, and it's not every day or every year, but when I do, it's because of my team. They are also stressed by working on behalf of people who don't show respect and abuse the privilege of our service. It is a privilege, not a right, to be our client. And I believe that. I've been doing this for nearly 30 years. And that was one of my life lessons. Not all clients are created equal, and a fair number of them, well, I won't use profanity on any show, but I'll just simply say they don't really display quality behavior. And when we see that, we are not hesitating to say, you know what? We're not going to hope that you become a better person. We're going to transition you to a different provider than us. That takes some, I say some serious guts, but we have it because we see what happens when you don't. When you keep a client, it does affect the culture of your firm, and it does affect and create burnout of my team. And I respect my team so much that I won't put them through that, no matter how much money is involved.
It's incredibly impressive. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen completely, let's cater to this individual because of their status and wealth, because they're demanding it despite the way they treat you. And then I've seen though, like that just builds upon itself. It doesn't get better.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's not funny. I just went through this. Um, you know, uh, you know, it's it takes a lot out of the team when the service provider is misbehaving. Excuse me, the service individual for whom you're servicing is misbehaving and not appreciating the hard work involved and taking advantage. So I have to, otherwise I'll lose my team. And if I lose my team, I lose my company.
Yeah. Yeah. And from my own experience, the moment you set boundaries and expectations and act like the experts that you are, you actually end up getting more respect. It's an interesting
Well,
result.
that's right. I had that less than 5 months ago. Unfortunately, I had to part ways with a client, and the team said that to the president of my company. They were so impressed that I was willing to give up a meaningful revenuing client for the sake of the sanity of our team. And I said that to them, and I walked the talk. That's a big deal. You got to walk the talk. You can't just say words and not back them up.
How do you keep your ear to the ground to the team to learn about these things?
Oh, well, I have different, you know, executives and people at every level whom I've worked with for many years now, and they're loyal. And they know that they don't have a problem telling me things in confidence, and I don't betray that confidence. I cherish it and I respect it so much that I will make sure that it is discreet enough that it's certainly not taken advantage of, and they get it, and so it works well. Hasn't been a problem.
Those relationships lead to information, right? That if you have the trust, if you show up, that can lead to you being able to positively impact the culture, get ahead of things before they get worse.
Indeed.
What you have achieved such a level of success as a leader, and you've been sharing some of those values. Is there anything else that I'm sure there's something else, but like another value that maybe you haven't mentioned that is just at the core of who you are and what you maybe attribute to some of your success?
Resiliency. It is a very, very demanding and difficult world we live in today. It's a time where we're living in a very Orwellian society. The book 1984, we're living in. It's dog eat dog. I wish that more people had heart. I wish more people, you could shake their hand and know that a deal was solid. It's just not there. You have to trust, but verify, and then verify again, and hope that people live up to their word. The social contract between people, I think, is gone, which makes it harder for the reasons I've just mentioned. What can we do? Well, we can hope that we get introduced by people who are vetted by those whom we give entry to our I would say coveted and discreet circle of trust, right? Where once they're in, and you can hope that if it's referred by Ben Ritter, that person at least has the foundation to be trusted as a person to do what they're supposed to be doing, or be who they're supposed to be. Not always, but that's the best I think we can do under the circumstances that we find ourselves in. I think the root cause of it, Ben, if you were to ask me, is that I think that because we're living in a world that is there's so much anxiety, there's so much unknown, people become individuals who are driven, and dog eat dog mentality unfolds versus people helping people and showing that there's a human side. And I think that if we can get back to that, great. But I'm not so confident when I look at the leadership in the world today. Doesn't matter if you're right wing, left wing. I think most people tend to be in the center, but there really isn't too much of a voice for those of us in the center. You've got people from the far left, the far right, and you've got a rise in anti-Semitism that's second to the only World War II, where Jews are being called Nazis, which is, I don't even know how to respond to that. I mean, it's not only is it an oxymoron, it's like, are we being serious, people? And you've got others that are being discriminated against as well. And I think it's frightening for people of all walks of life to live in this great unknown. And that's the last thing I'll say about it, which is that every client whom we are working with recognizes the uncertainty in our world. Now, what does wealth bring, Ben? What does wealth bring? It brings only comfort and convenience. And that's it. Doesn't guarantee you good health. You may eat better. You may travel better. That's comfort. That's convenience of going to the best doctor when money can buy. But that doesn't guarantee you happiness or good health. And if that's what we're, looking to achieve in life, then I would say that there are an incredible amount of wealthy people that are not happy, which is surprising to most who don't have extreme amount of wealth. But it goes to show you that The grass isn't always greener on the other side. It isn't.
Mhm.
And it may look like someone's happy just because they're partying in St. Bart's or they're in Monaco somewhere or some other, festive environment, smiling and toasting. You don't know what they're dealing with in behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you that there are some very, very troubled people who have fame and success or excess, who are miserable because of it. And as a provider of services to these types of people, all I can say is be grateful. That's the final thing I was trying to get at. Just be grateful for what you have, not for what you see other people having. You marry into wealth, you earn it. You have wealth, you have other problems. Now you got to figure out how to protect it. Then you got to deal with a prenup for your kids. How do you explain that to the fiance of one persuasion or another? I mean, these are the things that you and I might chuckle about, but they're real issues.
Yeah. You reminded me of something my Savta used to say. She used to say to be happy, healthy, and wealthy, and she put wealthy at the end. Because you
Yeah,
have to have
that's
happy and
true.
healthy first.
That's right. First, good health, and then everything else.
Mhm. So this goes all the way back to what we mentioned in the beginning around the community banks and the importance of relationships and what you were said kind of what you were saying before, kind of this piece around gratitude and such. You really to differentiate yourself today. Okay. If you can lean into your heart, that is going to open up so many doors, and not because you have this intent to go, use other people, but because you have actually these strong values to create even a positive social contract or relationships, because it's becoming more rare. Sounds like from your experiences, from the age that we're in, the hate that's all around us, the increase of technology. And I mean, that's something that you do, right? Do your work. You build these relationships, you lean in with values. Uh, I really do appreciate your time today. And I know you're working on some pretty special things. So I want to just hear anything fun that you're working on that you want to share with our audience.
Well, always having fun. Sure. We created and did a soft launch for our family wellness program, which is a very comprehensive offering to help families who are dealing and with various crises from one shape, size, or another. They're in transition from a death in the family, a divorce. They sold their company and looking for new purpose and relevancy. And we have a whole program that is very customized to meet their needs. We have caregivers for ailing parents because a lot of the transition of wealth that's happening right now, Ben, necessitates aging parents who are dealing with Parkinson's. There's 2 million plus people here in this country, plus Alzheimer's, dementia, and other ailments that require caregiving support. How do you help people whom you don't know to come into your home, welcome them, but also protect your information? There's a lot of fraud out there and people that steal. So we have a whole program that works with families when they are in need. Mental health, substance abuse, it's in every family. Almost every family that we deal with that we have as clients and others are struggling with it. And so finding reputable physicians, clinicians, experts, we have a cadre of people readily available. The other that I'll say is that we are pushing strong the concept that philanthropy has a lot to do with family continuity. We've seen it. We believe strongly in it. A family that gives together does tend to stay together. And so helping to foster philanthropic impact programs in communities all around the world is so important. And we have billions of dollars, 200 plus $1 billion in donor advised funds, and an equal amount in family foundations. That's a $500 billion or more. that can be deployed meaningfully into the communities. Now, imagine what that would do if it was done thoughtfully, if it was done in ways that were constructive, because I can assure you that's not where the government excels, and we've seen that. So now it falls upon families. Well, we have a program that helps to curate that at various levels of wealth, whether you have 50,000 in your donor advised fund or 50 million in your foundation. And to me, that is exciting. I don't get excited, Ben, about bookkeeping and reporting and cybersecurity that we offer and other things. To me, it's family philanthropy, governance, resiliency building within the families. And that's what I look forward to every day.
Well, I'm getting excited now. Okay, wow, we can make a difference. It's in the day and age of fear-mongering headlines that actually are truly scary, some of the things that are out there, to hear what you're sharing about philanthropy and the fact that there is the financial means to make a significant impact and difference. That's inspiring.
Well, I hope so. And thank you for the opportunity to speak and to your audience, and look forward to more opportunities to be helpful.
Yep. And everyone listening, I'll put all the relevant links in the show notes. Brian, thank you again. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.